I know you're listening. You're here because something isn't right. Something feels twisted, upside down. Things don't add up. Hello, human. Welcome to our twisted universe. In this episode, we'll be speaking with yoga instructor, energy healer, and hypnotherapist Lori Lee.
Hi, and welcome to our Twisted Universe. Today we're going to be talking with Lori Lee. She is a holistic healer specializing in gentle and restorative yoga, guided meditation, sound and energy healing, and hypnotherapy. Wow, Lori, you got a big list of skills there.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So we were wondering, how did you get started in all this holistic healing? I mean, what was your journey like?
So, it started with the yoga actually. And I didn't even start yoga until I was 49 years old. And I had a lot of problems, physical problems, because I'd been a hairdresser for a lot of years. And I had a lot of problems with the whole right side of my body, and just from a couple car wrecks and different things. And then standing all day for several years. And I decided at age 49 that I wanted to find a new career. And so I went to college, and I was just going to get a general AA to see, what was out there. And I took some yoga classes, and I just said, where's this been all my life? And I had never done yoga because I had come from a Christian background, and I was taught that it was Eastern, and, that, bad things might happen if I did it. So I didn't ever do it. And one of my instructors told me, because I love movement, and I love, dance and movement and all of that. And one of my instructors said, you should try yoga. And so I did. I took it for a PE class, and I was just like, man, and I learned, because I took gentle and restorative, so I learned how to heal my body with it. And so it started with healing my body. And then, with the nervous system regulation that happens and all of that during yoga, and then the spiritual element, I started with, college yoga. And then I got mentored in a traditional yoga studio. And that's when the spiritual light kind of turned on, and learned a lot more about the chakras and all of that. And so after the yoga, that led into Reiki, because you introduced me to Reiki, and, and then you got me to my level 2. And so I started practicing that. And then I took some sound healing courses and workshops, and realized how much that, how powerful sound is, and vibration and frequency. And that's when I started learning about frequency and all of that. And then you've been such a huge part of this journey. You told me one day in Shavasana, and for anybody that doesn't know what Shavasana is, it's the relaxation meditation part of the yoga class that you do at the end. And you told me one day after Shavasana, you said, you should do hypnotherapy. You could literally tell someone anything during Shavasana, and it would totally go to their subconscious, because, you explained to me how I got you into that trance state during Shavasana. And so I kind of looked into hypnotherapy about a year after that. And the funny thing is that the school that I went to is in LA, and it's like a long-standing hypnotherapy college. It's been around for like 50 years. It's like fully accredited, really great college. But it was in LA, and they had no online accredited program. And so I considered actually moving to LA. My youngest daughter and I were thinking about it, but we decided not to. And then the pandemic happened. And when that happened, about a year into it, they sent me a packet and said, hey, we just thought you should know that, we have this fully accredited online program now, and we do everything through Zoom, and you can, it's fully accredited, same instructors, same classes, it's just over Zoom. And I just took it as a sign, just all of the, everything connected,
Pieces fell into place.
For sure. It worked out really well.
Yeah.
So I heard that school was incredible.
Yeah, it's a great school. Like I said, they've been around 50 years, and so it's an excellent school.
So what has your experiences been with the hypnotherapy? It's a fascinating subject.
It is. It just opens up a whole new world. Yeah. The progression of everything, just it seemed to make perfect sense, because you start to tap into that subconscious mind through, all the other things, through the energy healing and yoga and everything. You start to be able to tap into that subconscious mind, and you also tap into down regulating the nervous system, getting into that parasympathetic nervous system, which is what heals our body. And that's the state that we get into that our body can heal. So, so it just made perfect sense, to do the hypnotherapy. So I just recently got my license, and so I'm really excited. I just started my practice. I'm sitting here in my office.
Have you worked with anybody yet?
Yeah, I have a few clients. Yeah. And
sorry. I was just wondering, what are some things you've helped people with since starting doing the hypnotherapy?
So weight loss is one of the main ones. And one of the people wanted to get off of nicotine lozenges. And so I've just started working with her on that. And then what was the other one? It's a lot of people are interested in quitting smoking with. That's, I think, the most common one that people want to, but weight management is another one. I typically won't work on somebody for weight loss without a doctor's referral. And if I'll work with somebody if it's 25 pounds or less without a doctor's referral. And so if somebody just wants to lose 25 pounds or less, it's more of a personal development, kind of thing, where when you get into more than 25 pounds, it gets a little bit more into medical stuff sometimes, so.
How does that go? When you're in a session with somebody and you're doing a weight loss, what are some of the things that you would be covering in your session?
So basically what hypnotherapy is it's a type of psychotherapy. It is used mainly to initiate change in people's lives. Hypnotism and hypnotherapy are a little bit different. They're the same, but they're different. A lot of people think of hypnotism like the show hypnotism, where you make people do crazy things and, quack like a
Yeah.
And but hypnotherapy is a psychotherapy, and it's there's a lot more to it than that. And it's people are aware of what's happening, and you work with their goals and what they want, and you really talk about a lot of a hypnotherapy session is cognitive. You're talking about things for the first half of the session a lot of the times, so that you get to know the person, and I test for suggestibility. So there's different types of suggestibility types of, everybody's, well, not everybody's different, but there's a few different types of suggestibility. And
I don't know what that is. Could you share?
Well, it's how somebody will take suggestions. So they can be physical, they can be emotional, they can be more intellectual. And so like some people, you can give them like a direct suggestion. Some people you have to be a little bit more inferred about your suggestion. So, you know, so you have to get to know them a little bit to know how to make the suggestions to them. And so I test their suggestibility and find out what type of suggestibility they have, so that I know what techniques to use for induction. And induction is how you induce somebody into trance state. And so there's several different types of induction that I can do. Yeah, so I just kind of get to know the person, and there's a certain kind of testing that I do before the first session, so that I can find that out about the person, and then yeah, go from there. And yeah,
it's fascinating. Like, you know, it seems, you know, oh yeah, I'm gonna go do hypnotherapy, but it's so involved and detailed, and it's not just a simple little session. When you're in a session and you're making suggestions, how would you know if somebody was responding?
There's certain there's certain things that I can tell by a person's body, by their eyelids, you know, what's happening with their eyes when they're closed, their breathing, different things like that. Yeah, I can tell when they've entered a trance state. And sometimes I'll use more of a deepener, like once they're induced, I can do like deepeners to get them even deeper in to trance state. So, yeah.
So we talked a little bit, you said there was like 3 different stages of the mind.
Yeah, 3 different types of consciousness.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there's.
I don't know if everybody knows what that is.
Yeah. So there's consciousness, which is when we're awake and aware and mindful, like we're in the present moment, you know, and then there's the subconscious, which is a lot of people don't know. And that's another point about hypnotherapy, is that a lot of people think it's this really crazy thing that never happens to people, but actually people enter hypnosis on a daily basis.
Really?
The first half an hour that we're waking up, we're actually in hypnosis. So the subconscious mind we're tapped right into it. And also the half an hour while you're going to sleep. Wow. So if you want to like be suggestible to yourself, you know, to do self-hypnotism, a sort of self-hypnotism, what you do in that first half an hour of waking and that last half an hour while you're going to sleep is super important, because your subconscious is wide open at that time.
Wow.
That's so interesting.
I didn't know that. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So you can like setting intentions for your day or something in the morning, and then like how your next day is going to go before you go to bed is like a really good thing to do.
Yep. And what you want to happen during your sleep, because when you're asleep, you're just, you know, that's your subconscious working and your superconscious. So that's another thing. So there's your superconscious, which is your God consciousness. If you were a Christian, you might have heard of Christ consciousness. You know, the whole oneness of everything in the universe, the whole spiritual connection between everyone, the angels, you know, all of that, the universe, all of that. That's God consciousness. And when we're able to tap into that, so if somebody starts their awakening journey, they get tapped into their superconscious. And so that's how we grow spiritually, is by tapping into that superconscious. And so and bringing the superconscious into our conscious awareness is like, yeah.
How do you do that?
It
Like,
sounds fascinating.
is that typical?
I mean, you guys do it. You guys do it. You know, when you get your downloads, you call them. That's the super conscious. When you start your awakening journey, you talked about your crystals, your, you know, and the, you know, how they've affected things. That's because they, you know, they help bring in that spirit, that super conscious, that, you know,
Wow.
that.
Okay. Well, I guess that's like, I don't know. I'm learning a lot today about my crystals, actually.
Well, you have quite a collection of crystals, don't you, Lori?
I do. I love them. Yeah, I use them. I use them on a pendulum with a crystal on it. I use a selenite crystal wand in some of my healing sessions, and I have a big chunk of amethyst over there that my youngest daughter got me for Christmas. I love that one. It's a great big chunk of
That's amazing.
And
selenite is definitely a dark energy buster. Selenite
yes.
is my go-to for that, for sure.
And you
Yeah.
got, you know, it's like, it's interesting to know like that what you were talking about previously, like the sounds and frequencies, and like that's kind of where the power from the crystals come from, is the frequencies that they emit. So I don't know, it's kind of crazy to think about. It's like, it's almost like we live in a magical world. Like
We always have and didn't know it.
yeah, like
Exactly. That's the super conscious. Yep.
So where's the super conscious lying? Like, is there like a layers of how the mind works, or how does that all come together?
It's kind of like the conscious. The conscious is the, you know, your regular conscience is awareness, like I said, your mindfulness, and then there's the subconscious, and then kind of, I don't know if I would even say beneath that, because I kind of feel like the super conscious, it kind of transcends everything, but we can't get to it if we're stuck in, if we're stuck in, you know, things in our conscious awareness, or our subconscious can block us from tapping into that super conscious. So yeah, but it does transcend everything, because like I said, it's
once you're tapped in, like
Yeah.
once you can tap into it.
Yeah, but we live in a physical world, and we have to be in consciousness, you know. So we have to be
Wait, we
aware.
can't go around in Bubble Land?
Unfortunately, someday. Yeah. I feel like, you know, as we grow, you know, you think about like the people, like ancient, you know, yogis from way back when, you know, who, you know, could meditate all day and just be like that sage that everybody could just come to, and they're just sitting in their little temple and just being chill, and just, you know, I feel like they are in their super conscious all the time.
Yeah.
But we have such a complicated world now, you know, and you know, it's not feasible for us to do that.
A lot easier to get distracted from those things.
Yeah. And there's so much stuff that, you know, we have to work through in our subconscious, because our subconscious, back to that, it really literally takes things in constantly. Our subconscious is always kind of taking things in, but when we're in trance state, it's way more suggestible. So a lot of people don't know that television is hypnotic.
I've always thought that, but how is it hypnotic to you, people just sitting there? I've always believed we were being hypnotized, but how does it translate?
It brings people into a trance state. It's that focus on that, and your subconscious is, you know, your awareness of consciousness kind of goes to the side, because
I totally noticed that too. Like even with you know, with number one, cell phones. Like, you know, like you're walking along and you're like bumping into people or something, like
Yeah,
I mean, hopefully not, but you know.
totally. Technology for sure, it's got its plus sides, but that's definitely, and um, also, a lot of people don't know too, like marijuana is a hypnotic drug. So if somebody smokes marijuana, they're automatically suggestible to anything that's going on.
Wow.
So, no shade on marijuana use, but want to be careful what you're doing when you're using it, if you're using it, and what you're
working on
subjecting your to, and what you're watching, and what you're, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
for sure.
I am definitely going to be more mindful about what I do the half hour before I go to sleep, because I often listen to not exactly relaxing podcasts and things like that.
I'm like, you're always keeping yourself in a state of stress, worrying about these things. That's like,
And I'm like, if I'm literally being hypnotized by,
you're putting your mind into a state of stress right before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
What you should be doing is listening to like healing frequency music and like, like thinking about good things.
I absolutely, I am definitely going after tonight. I'm done.
That's what I do. Actually, I listen to healing frequency music and then I'm like, I just like keep repeating to myself, like, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be abundant. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be a good mom. I'm going to, like all these things. That's usually what I do to actually help myself fall asleep.
Yeah.
So
I remember for so many years of my life before my spiritual journey, before I became really committed to it, I would leave the TV on all night.
Mhm.
And I just think, oh my gosh, what kind of stuff was going into my subconscious all that time? Because you don't even know what's on in the middle of the
I'm
night.
freaked out by that.
Well, not
Yeah.
just that, but like we're all aware there's like subliminal messaging
Yes.
in television, movies and TV shows. Like it's there. I've seen it, like while that's playing in the background while you're sleeping, it's like probably way more suggestive and powerful at that point.
Who knows what implants are being put in there? At that
Yeah. Well, when you're asleep, it doesn't even have to be subliminal. It can just be whatever they're saying. You know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be sneaky because your subconscious is wide open when you're asleep. So,
Lori, I
yeah.
have no idea. That is, I mean, it's profound what you're saying here. I hope people are really listening to that, because this could be really impactful on your life.
I can't sleep with the TV on. I have to be in like a dark room. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I grew out of that.
But for those of us who aren't paying attention, like right here, I'm definitely going to make a change after today.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, because there's got to be a balance. I mean, we have to be aware of what's going on in the world, and it is interesting and very good for us to be open to learning about and being aware of what's actually happening in the world, and what's going on, and we can't just pretend like bad things aren't happening or stressful things aren't happening or whatever. So we have to pay attention to those things, but the nervous system can't take that all the time. I mean, it definitely will affect our physical, mental, emotional, all that, our wellness in general. Yeah, for sure.
I've been telling you that for so long. I don't know how many times I've literally told her basically the same thing, just different. And
so
she doesn't listen.
Yeah, just that last half an hour, that first half an hour, that last half an hour while you're going to sleep, that would just make a huge difference. Just those things, it would make a huge difference. And listen to all your other stuff any other time you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know you're
don't absorb,
all that. Yeah.
I'm going to have to check back in with you in a few weeks and let you know how it's going.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
Really fun and interesting. I definitely think that hypnotherapy has a place in society. I've heard of really profound healings from it. You yourself has experienced, your client has lost weight and happy and had a profound shift. You also talked about some sound healing and other modalities you've been using. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I've been doing the energy work for a few years and the sound healing. And so I've had a lot more, I've been, with every modality that I've learned, I've had personal huge shifts and huge leaps in my awakening process through those modalities, which is why I was like, I really, I want to share this with people, and so, so the sound healing, that's again, like the crystals, only sound is just more powerful. I mean, if you think about it, well, there's a few cool facts about sound. And one of them is, if you think about it, again, going back to the Bible and creation, God spoke and creation happened. So sound creates, and it's powerful. And another thing about sound is, interesting fact is that John Lennon actually wrote the song Imagine in the frequency of 528, which is the love frequency. And he intentionally did that. And they also, when the Gulf of Mexico, when they did the big cleanup there in the Gulf of Mexico some years ago, I can't remember what year it was, but they used the frequency 528 for that, to help with that.
How did they do that?
I'm not sure. They must have just had, like when I do the river blessings, I take my 528 tuning fork and my heart chakra bowl, which is the heart chakra frequency. And I use that to bless the water. So they probably did things like that, but probably more amplified.
Okay. Yeah.
Did it amplified.
That's cool.
Yeah. But we just take like jars of water out of the river and we bless it with frequency and intentions and crystals and things like that. And then we put it back into the river. And so it just goes in and it's actually, water it's really powerful to do that. Even just that little bit can do so much for the water. It's pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. The first time I ever saw a river blessing, I noticed the change in the river water like the next week. I saw there was a river blessing boat that was out. These shamans were out there and they were drumming, were doing stuff. I don't know what all they were doing on the boat, but I was walking along, watching them. And the next week, because I go down to the river all the time, and the next week, I noticed the water was like so much clearer. It was crazy. I was just like, wow, and I knew that was why. And so just that one thing, just one day of them going up and down the river and putting those intentions into the water, they collected what they did beforehand. The reason why I knew about it was because they collected some river water in a jar and they brought it to one of the yoga studios that the yoga studio where I was mentored, and they left it there for like a couple of weeks before the river blessing, and the yoga teachers all asked everybody in the class to bless the water, and then when they went on the boat, they took that jar, and then while they were doing all their drumming and all their stuff, they were releasing the water back into the river. So that's how I got inspired to do the river blessings.
Well, that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah, I've been really fascinated by like the laws of attraction and intention and like manifesting just over like the past couple of months. And I've noticed an insane change in my life since I started doing that. Just, calling in like love and happiness for everybody I care about, and just trying to put that positivity out into the world as much as possible. I call my best friend on a regular basis because we live, far apart now. And I just call her on a regular basis to tell her how great I think she is, and like just speak love onto her. I do that with my sisters. Like I try to spread the love as much as I can.
That's awesome. And it's so powerful, and people don't realize how powerful it is. Our intentions and our words are so powerful. I mean, when I do hypnotherapy, it's words that I'm using. I'm using positive intentions while they're in a trance state, and it's powerful, and yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of interesting to think like what you're doing is you're using the power of intentions to help people, and you're helping them set intentions for themselves.
And it's like one spark ignites another spark. It's just
exactly. That's kind of what it's like, that saying, be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like one of my mantras that I've been following. Like, so
yeah. And it's amazing how much it helps us to be putting that good energy out to others too. It's so powerful for us too, just to be living in that ultimate purpose, of being to help people,
It makes me feel good to make other people feel good. Like I love making people feel good about themselves, and like I don't know, it makes me feel good when I try to be loving to people I care about. Like
living in that, then you're living in that energy. So, we call that in, and we, we're like the, like the, like a funnel, comes through us and goes to others, and, it just goes, from the universe and goes into us and goes to the others. And the universe knows that when we're giving it out, that we're going to get more in if we're practicing, self-care and, getting our healing too. That's important. That's why it's, that's why the self-care and healing modalities are so important, especially when we are giving it out like that, because we have to keep tapped into that super conscious.
Yeah. I've seen a big movement in people like actually working on themselves and like really like taking a hard look at themselves and seeing the things that they don't necessarily like, and like working through those things to heal that within themselves. I've noticed a lot of people are really kind of flipping the switch on that recently too. Like, yes. I don't know, it's just really fascinating to me. Like the more I think about those things, I just think it's cool because I feel like collectively we're all kind of uplifting ourselves in a way, even though things have seemed really bleak and dark recently. And, we're all still kind of trucking along on trying to like raise the vibration of everybody collectively, and I see that, I see it happening, and I don't know, it's just really cool to see.
It is awesome. There's a lot of people awakening, and it seems to I noticed that it's kind of like one or the other, because so many people are so so taken in by all of the trauma that's going on in the world, and so focused on that, that they're not getting the healing that they need. So I guess, that's something that's, I think, really, really important, is that, everybody has been through a lot of trauma this past couple of years, and some people more than others, but everyone has been through trauma. Every single person on the planet has been through trauma this last 2 years, and multiple traumas that have never happened in our lifetimes. And people don't realize, and people get so focused and even addicted, and it not even intentionally addicted, but addicted to being focused, because something happens to our brain. It is like an addiction, like a substance. When we, are so focused on all of those things, it's keeping that our central nervous system just in overdrive all the time. And so I think that if there's one thing that I could just really encourage people is to, find healing modalities that work for you, experiment, but find reputable, like people that have had, good training, that have the proper, training and the proper, that have, that are recommended highly, and things like that. But just, experiment with what kind of there's so many healing modalities out there now. And, I have a cluster of them that I offer, but there's others too. And I just would really encourage people to get their healing too, and to, to really do that. And to also, as you were saying, as you touched on shadow work a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's another is, a lot of people don't want to do the shadow work because it's hard. I mean, it's hard.
It's hard to admit like the things we don't like about ourselves, because in everyone's life, you're the main character, you're the main character of your story, just like I'm the main character of mine. And, typically the main character's the good guy, and we don't want to think of ourselves as like flawed or, oh, I've hurt people in the past. Like, we don't want to think about those things because they're hard to think about, because you don't want to view yourself in a negative light like that. But it's really important, I think, for everyone to be able to work through those things and understand why you were in that state in the first place, and not, not taking yourself too critically, but like accepting that you were that person at that time, and, take away what you don't like, remember for the next time. So the next time something like that happens, you can react differently and a little more maturely, I guess, is how I've tried to do things, in my personal life and my journey. I got really critical on myself, maybe a little bit to the extreme, but, I feel like I have done a lot of self-reflection, and I'm kind of like coming out on the other end at this point in my life. And I've never been happier, and I've never felt so secure in myself. And I don't know, it's just really exciting to see like all that hard work pay off. So
yeah, I love hearing that from younger people too, because in my generation, a lot of this healing modalities and things like that, I didn't know about any of that stuff when I was your age. I was just into, I was into the metaphysical, but just kind of the woo-woo, it's fascinating part of it. I didn't really get into the work. And I think there's a real balance with that too. Like I said, if you're doing shadow work and you're doing the self-reflection and you're finding the things about yourself that you don't like, and or that are not serving your highest good, or others, are harming others, that's great, but don't be hard on yourself about it. Acknowledge it, realize that it's not what you want for your life, and then get healing, because we hold trauma in our bodies. We hold traumas in our bodies, and like I said, everybody, especially, our lives are traumatic. Even when we do a lot of healing, traumatic things can still happen. So we're going to have to go and get more healing, and practice maybe more work. It's kind of in layers sometimes too, but somebody can do a whole lot of healing work, and then something like this, what's happened this last 2 years, can happen. And then, boy, that sets them into a whole new level of, having to do more work, and I know it sure did for me, and so, yeah. I think
I would tell people, it's not very expensive to go see a healer. And it's a total investment in your well-being and your sense of purpose. And I've only had incredible shifting experiences with all the healers, including you, Lori, that I've worked with. I can't stress it enough. I don't think there's any therapies out there. I'm not a medical professional, but as far as a spiritual person, I've never experienced more benefits than going to an energy healer.
Same. Energy work like was better than therapy for me. It was. It really ended up being that way. Something I always tell myself is healing isn't linear. So it's not something, you can't just decide one day that you're going to heal yourself and then you're healed. You can't, it's just not going to happen. It would be nice, but it's just unrealistic because we're human beings and we have flaws and we make mistakes. So, that's just something that I think everybody should be aware of. Like, you may make some leaps and bounds today and trip tomorrow, it happens, and that's just life. But you just keep learning from those experiences instead of like, why is this happening to me? Why is this my life? Like being down on yourself about it. Being positive is, what can I take away from this instead is so much better in the long run, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Keep on that awakening journey.
What was that?
Keep going on the awakening journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How would somebody be able to contact you and come in and get some of the healing techniques that you're so incredibly good at?
So I just built my first website, and the website is I'm sure it's going to be in your comment section, or the comment section, is that where it's going to be? So it's IAM yoga and wellness 2022 .my.canva.site/. And the logo looks like this.
That's so beautiful.
I love that logo. And same with the Instagram. That logo is on my Instagram too. I think you're going to try to get the QR code or something on the comments too.
For sure.
If it's I Am Yoga and Wellness. And you can probably find it by Lori Lee too, but it will have that logo in the picture, in the main little thumbnail. And then my email is I Am Yoga and Wellness, all spelled out. So there's I Am YOGAAND wellness @ gmail. And then you can text me, and my phone number is 360-718-1178.
Perfect. Well, I recommend Lori to anybody who's watching. She's in the Portland metro area, Vancouver area, for anybody in that part of the country.
And I do it online too. The hypnotherapy and yoga can be done online. So
Perfect.
I don't do all that. Some people do that online, but I don't really do that kind of work online. But I will do the hypnotherapy online. It totally works. And I do private yoga sessions online as well. So
amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for watching. Come back soon for more great videos on strange and unusual topics: psychics, hauntings, energy healing, UFOs, entities, and other twisted shenanigans. Keep listening for a short clearing prayer.
We welcome all higher dimensional beings, archangels, and spirit guides in love and light. We speak to you from our heart to the Creator being. We are shrouded in light and love and are protected. We release any attachments or agreements that are not in our highest good and greatest good. We ask you to go in peace. The Creator welcomes you. You are healed and forgiven, lifted and enlightened. You are healed and forgiven, lifted and enlightened. You are surrounded with the Creator's light and love, safe to leave and ascend to your highest good. We ask the divine beings to help you move into your perfect place. Go in peace and love.